are having their own version of Sacredversities, like all of the speakers who have gathered here. And we wanted to have a conversation about women's work, which is something that's popular these days. A lot of women-only dedicated spaces are popping up online and offline. And we wanted to understand what that work is all about. And we have um, Amana, Sakshi, and Sonali here with us. These are the speakers who are present as of now. Um, I'll just introduce each of the speakers and ask a specific question that I had thought of to ask them. I will start with Amana. Uh, one, so Amana is a sacred feminine guide, womb keeper, and energy medicine practitioner. Seema, can I request you to mute yourself? Thank you. Yeah. And she holds spaces where women can reconnect with their bodies, wisdom, and ancestral memory. Through retreats, rituals, and intimate circles, she invites women into deeper belonging, embodiment, and sacred remembering of who they are. Welcome, Amana. So, um, many women carry like very deep internalized beliefs, right? Things like their voices are too loud, their body is unsafe, or even like their power is too disruptive. Through your Shakti work, I've seen women begin to reclaim pleasure, presence, and even financial leadership from their embodiment. So, what I want to ask you is, what are some of the other core beliefs or wounds that they carry, or from your um, observation, what is coming to your mind? Um, and how does your work light the path towards owning their power?
Yeah. Mm, Thank you. Beautiful question. And thank you for having me here. Am I loud enough
Yeah,
to?
you're
Yeah.
clear.
Hmm. I think the number one thread belief that I see is the fear of their own power. As you rightly use the word disruptive power. So they see their power as something that is going to cause chaos because it's so raw, it's so potent. So that's one thing that they're so scared to come into their power, speak their truth, and say, "This is who I am." And my work helped them to understand this voice that their power is disruptive is not their own voice. It could be an ancestral trauma that they're carrying. It could be a fear that the mind is generating because the mind's work is to protect you from danger. So this could look like as a danger. So I make them see how this is a not a plausible danger, and how I make them proceed further is by seeing that the validation that they're seeking outside needs to come from within. The power has to be internalized. And I do that through different trauma release practices. And I also make them connect to their bodies, the wisdom of their womb, that helps them to realize that the intuition is bigger than the rationalization of the mind, and that their internal truth, their personal truth, is the highest alignment. Yeah, that makes a lot of change. It's a process. Sometimes it takes years, lifetimes, but when it clicks, then there's no looking back. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll talk more about your work and like more about how do you help them get there also further down in the conversation. I wanted to introduce Sakshi. Sakshi is a family constellation facilitator, regression therapist, and a feminine embodiment coach. With roots in PR, Bollywood, and academia and healing, she brings depth, empathy, and wisdom to support individuals, especially women, in reclaiming their life force and feminine power. Welcome, Sakshi. Um, so
Thank you,
yeah.
Lakshmi. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so family conflicts really often entangle women in very invisible roles like caretaker, peacekeeper, or someone being a scapegoat for putting the blame on or workload on. In your work, what kind of family dynamics tend to impact women the most? And how does constellation or regression therapy make these patterns visible or perhaps even begin to shift them?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think when I read it, I was like, this is such a good question. You've like rounded up everything and, put it very nicely, compactly in a very relevant question. So I'll tell you a few, like two or three dynamics first, and then, what constellation and regression therapy does there. So I think the three most common dynamics are one, when there is gender bias, and these are all early life dynamics, when it's not even women, girls, they how they get conditioned and programmed from early life. So first, the most common that I've seen is gender bias. Boys preferred over girls, girls and boys preferred over other genders, and that kind of creates specific molds for boys and for girls and for children in general, and then they need to fit those molds. So girls mostly grow up to be women in the roles of caretaker and peacemaker, because boys, their brothers are given preference, so then they fit into that caretaker peacemaker role. So many times they become mothers to the younger siblings as well. They become the primary caretakers of even their own younger siblings. And of course, this leads to suppression of their own emotions, desires, ambition, their own authentic self. And not just this. Today, many people, many parents want girls, but there's also this pendulum swinging to the other end, where, oh, we want a girl child only, or girls are pampered more than the boys. That still is problematic, because it leads to an imbalance. There's comparison between the siblings. This can again later become what we call in constellation work entanglements or conflict between siblings as adults. So the first is this gender bias. Then comes in parents, one or both, being absent. So absent father, physically absent or emotionally absent, or if the father is abusive or alcoholic, or he's extremely busy with work. In these cases, what I've seen many times, the daughters, especially the eldest daughter, comes into the protective role for the mother and caretaker role for others in the family, especially again younger siblings. So again, she like, how will she have her own life when she's, in almost no way stepping in the place of the father for the family? So that again is basically an entanglement, what we call in constellation work. And if the mother is absent, then of course there's no role model for that girl in terms of the feminine that comes from the mother figure. So these are the most common, family dynamics, which really hurt girls growing up to become women. And with family constellation work, with regression work, I think what happens is we start to understand rationally what happened to us. Many of us don't even know what happened to us. We are just maybe asking, why me? Why this happened to me? But then we start understanding what happened to us, and in many and most cases that we are not responsible for what happened to us in our childhood. And with that understanding then comes the work which can help them come out of the entanglements, which can help them stand in their own healthy functioning adult self, stand in their own place in the family, start saying no, setting boundaries. In constellation work, we have something called hidden loyalty and blind love. And we can, out of this hidden loyalty and blind love, we can get, in a way, the word we use is again entanglement with parents or even ancestors, known or unknown. And that hidden loyalty and blind love comes to surface. And then we can move out of it. And again, I'm throwing a lot of jargon from the work, but to simplify it, we leave the unhealthy spaces and come into our own space as my mother's daughter, my father's daughter. I'm only your child. I'm not equal to you. So that kind of a space, and that helps us become a healthy, functioning adult in our life. That helps us basically set boundaries. So we've set a boundary between our parents and me as well. You are big and I am small. And then we start really setting boundaries with others in our adult life as well. And similarly, regression work. We with regression we go to, if it's inner child work, we go to this lifetime's childhood, be it womb, early life, teenage, whatever. If it's past life, then that's a whole different regression. But even with largely with childhood memories, we understand, we process, we release the old and the stuck energies. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So we release the old and the stuck energies, emotions, beliefs that got made because of what we went through. So when a girl is in the caretaker mode from, let's say, the age of 3, you know, and this happens. I worked enough to know even a 3-year-old internally feels that I have to take care of my mother. And with growing with that core belief, she will, of course, neglect herself fully. So understanding that this belief got made, and do you need it now? And most people know, okay, no, I don't need it anymore. So we release it, we remove it, and it goes out in terms of emotion, belief, mental thought, mental construct, even energy stuck in the body. With every belief, there's energy stuck in the body. So all of that, with regression work, we do this. We reprogram the subconscious. Old beliefs, old energy out, new beliefs, new energy in, let it integrate, anchor it, and then see what happens. So for me, both these modalities also are a lot about body work. We stay in the body, we do the work in the body. Long answer to your short question.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long question. Yeah. I wanna, speaking of gender roles, I wanna invite segue into the next speaker. Hi, Sonali.
Hello.
Yeah. So one second, excuse me. Yeah, Sonali, is a Delhi-based trans rights activist and founder of the GLAD Foundation, empowering transgender individuals through inclusive employment. And Sonali has participated in advocacy efforts at the 59th UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva for the SOEIGE mandate, and was a delegate at the UNDP Youth Collab in Vietnam as well. Um, so, welcome, Sonali. She's done a lot of work in terms of bringing dignity, visibility, and justice for LGBTQIA plus community as well. Um, it's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
Yeah. So, in a conversation where we're talking about um, what it's like for hetero-presenting, cis-presenting women, um, I want to understand what are the kind of themes. We spoke about some themes that come up for women identifying people. Um, assigned male and birth and cis women, right? Like, what are the themes that come up for trans women when they gather? And I'm sure of course, when there's need for healing, but what are the different themes that come up in your circles, for specifically trans women?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Sonali. She and her my pronouns. Uh, so to answer your question, Lakshmi, so I have done a lot of work with the community, right? So whenever we gather as a community, the first thing that I notice uh, in the room is tiredness, and the tiredness is not like lazy tired, but it feels like very tired of being watched, being judged, being made into proofs that and also being like misunderstood. So it is a lot of tiredness that I feel in the room, and it is just not limited to that also. As a person who is working mostly into human rights and into activism, I also see like there is also a pattern of an apology within the community that we have. For example, everything that we say, I'm sorry if I'm being too harsh, I'm sorry if I'm angry, if I sound angry, I'm sorry if I sound like this, blah blah blah. I see an apology as a coping or maybe survival mechanism that we are using as a community because we have uh, been how do I put it? I mean, the society, even the parents have made us in a way where they never taught us how to love ourselves, our body, and who we are. Rather, they taught us something very different about how other people think about your body. How what they say about you matters more than what you think about your own self. So we see that a lot when we see within community also. There is a lot of discrimination within the community also, like certain way you should look if you're a trans woman, and a lot of different energies. Trans women are a ball of different energy. It is just not one energy. You will see apology, you will see tiredness, you will see non-acceptance by the society, and there are a lot of energies there. So when everyone meet together, it is just a chaos, and that is it. You don't see a certain one energy in the room. It is a chaos, and then that affects everyone. So that is what I'll say. uh, I mean, that is what I can think of right now. If there is anything else, I'll definitely say that maybe in future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe can you also shed some light on what does um, what does healing work look? They Amana and Sakshi spoke about some ways of working with uh, inherited inner child, subconscious belief systems, and all of that. What do you
Yeah.
think it looks like for trans women? Because there is layers of other things also. Is it different, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like for us there are more different layers. For example, some of them are mostly interconnected. For example, violence is something that we face in every step of our life. Maybe caste violence, gender violence, being a transgender person, there is a violence from family, violence from your partner. There are a lot of violence that is there within us when you say. And when you talk about healing, we are not exactly we are in a survival mode, so we never feel, even though it's a safe space, we might not feel safe within that safe space to open up ourselves to properly heal, right? So recently I've been part of one of the well-being session in Thailand, and it was very 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 amazing. There was this person who, I mean, she was amazing. She made me realize a lot of things. But yeah, I realized that we never really open up in a, even if it is called as safe space as a trans people, because we always are on the survival mode. Like we cannot, even though if I'm here, I cannot be myself. Otherwise, people will judge me. I might not be allowed to be in this place, or there are a lot of things like that that are there in our mind. So I believe that is one of the thing when it's come to healing. And when you talk about inner child, when I think about my inner child, I have a lot of trauma of my childhood that brings back with my inner child. And that is the only reason I never let my inner child take anything, because it only brings trauma and all the bad things that has happened in life. Because as a young child, I never had nostalgia about, oh, my childhood was amazing. I had a amazing school, life and everything. I never had those. It is just so traumatic that I don't even want to think about it. So when it's come to inner child, we have to suppress it, because that only brings more trauma and more mental issues to us as a queer community, especially trans movements, and also family thingy, because I come from a very religious background family. So I was kicked out when I was 17, right? So you, as a young child, when everyone was being very secure with their family, having a life, I had to work hard just to pay my bills and rents and those kind of things. So everything just brings trauma. There is nothing that make me feel happy about my childhood. So this is how it is. But the healing, the space that I have been to very recently, first time ever in 27 year of my life, I felt how it feels to be in a space where you can really open up and heal, as as a human being, spiritually, mentally and bodily. And it was just amazing. And that was the very first time in my life I felt my own self, how it feels like to heal and how it feels. So yeah, I'm sorry.
No, don't say sorry.
See,
uh,
this is how it comes. This is what I'm talking about. It's an instinct of survival that we already have in our brain that triggers very automatically, and we feel like crying is also something very wrong, and we just don't do that. So yeah,
yeah,
that
no, space here. Yeah, yeah. Did you feel complete?
yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Um, yeah, thank you. And we'll come back, circle back to some of these things that you've highlighted later in the conversation. Now I want to get into some questions. Uh, the next thing I want to address is, um, yeah, so I think Sakshi and Amana touched a little bit on this. I want to go deeper into this question of how to support women in coming back to the wisdom of their bodies, especially after trauma and long disconnection from the bodies. Now, whatever is coming to your mind, and I'll start with Sakshi for this one.
Yeah, Lakshmi. So, for me, I think again, based on my work, my experience, my whole journey, from deep disconnect with my body and deep disconnect with my own feminine to finding that connection. Um, I would say, the first thing is starting to acknowledge our body,
Mm.
starting, with the body, be it, call it looking at a body, looking at ourselves, starting to connect with our body. Maybe one and other very nice thing, which is now very important for me, and it's a very present idea and thought for me these days, is community. So just being in a circle with women has a very deep impact, and different people, different folks, different women will feel it differently. Just sitting with other women, be it actually over chai or be it in a healing circle, it has an impact. The shared, history, stories, seeing each other, crying with each other, laughing with each other, holding each other. That that is, it just does something, and that something is, defined differently for different people. And coming to very specifically what I do for me, so I'm a menstrual cycle coach, sex, love, and relationship coaching, and yoni egg. I use all these modalities. The first thing is they bring you in your body. Menstrual cycle coaching is about understanding your cycle, not just your period and what's happening during your period or a few days before it, the days which get the worst rapper, but understanding your entire cycle and how, we change, we are different throughout a cycle. So for me, that's one thing where I lead women to. And even with, I think, constellation work, therapy work, all this work, it all comes down into the body. Body first, body over mind. With so many clients, the idea is to come from your mind into your body. And that kind of begins to change the game.
Yeah, so in all of these practices across, you help them come into the body while processing whatever helping process is what
Yeah,
I'm hearing.
exactly.
Mm. Thank you. Amana, do you want to add something to that? How do you support women come back to the wisdom of their body?
Hmm. I use very basic tools like sensations. Like if you say that I feel anxiety. So I'll say, where is it? Where is it that you're feeling it? They might say in the chest. What is the sensation of it? Is it contraction? Is it opening up? Is it some pressure on your heart? So when you bring your awareness to sensations, you immediately connect to your body and your mind starts to sort of stop, because when you are connecting to the sensations, then you are present. When you're present, the mind doesn't interfere too much, because when there's mind, the mind is thinking about the past or the future. When you're connected to the sensations, it's only present. So mostly it's sort of cut that uh, of the mind. So that's one thing. Another is like good sensations, pleasure. How do you feel when you are connected to some good sensation in your body? Where is it right now that you feel good in your body? So that helps also. Sometimes people realize that they cannot even focus on pleasure or good sensation for more than 5 seconds. So that says a lot about their capacity to hold presence and pleasure in their body. So this is another thing that I teach, how to increase capacity for having pleasure in the body and not just capacity for pain, because we are so addicted to sometimes the intensity. Yeah. Yeah, so basic things like these sensations and senses, connecting to other senses. How is the smell in the room right now? And what can you hear? What are the different sounds in the room, outside the room? So yeah, that helps to connect to the body. And sometimes also simple things like observing the voice in the head. When there is voice in the head, there are pauses also. So observe the pause, observe the voice. Can you disconnect? So these small things. Breath. um, Breath also helps. Different kind of breathing, box breathing, taking breaks during the breath, that helps. um, Also weightlifting, that also helps. We sometimes think that we are very spiritual, so we should not indulge in these things, but it actually calms our mind and create different kind of hormones that gives us happiness and make our amygdala a little relaxed and tells us that it's safe to be here. And bringing other tools which brings more safety in body. Sometimes like simple thing like being safe with unsafety, like I feel unsafe right now. Can you bring safety to that feeling? So understanding the meaning of safety, telling the mind that it is safe to be here in the present and not think about past or future. So small things. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. So somatic work has become very popular. Western psychology finally realized we have a mind, sorry, body, not just the mind. And so it's definitely influencing all of our work. I wanted to see if Sonali had a comment about like how is like what is the is somatic experiencing work, somatic therapy popular among people who seek mental health support in trans community? And do you find like any specific um, experience of somatic work that whether it's working for them or not, or like what is the experience of meeting somatic work for trans women, if you have any um, thoughts on that? You're on mute.
It's for me, right?
Mm. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I do not understand the word somatic. Can you please explain that?
Oh, okay. Is that something? So, are you in therapy?
Mm-hmm. No,
And
not was. I was
uh,
doing therapy, but then I quit very recently because it didn't work for me.
okay. Yeah, maybe I want to address, like, ask about that first. Like in therapy, do you find that your other trans women that you engage with through your
Mm-hmm.
organization, your friends and people around you, what is affordability of therapy like? Like, are people able to, like, are people are in therapy, the need for it? Do you want to comment on that?
I definitely feel there is a need for a therapy and for people for whom it works, because for me it didn't work, or maybe it was my therapist who was not good enough. Because it is very expensive. First thing, there are few organizations that gives you free therapy, but it is not as potent as it should be. Plus, it is more of a peer support, which is good, but not something that really works. Uh, so definitely, it is very expensive when you do it privately, and not everyone can afford it. I was not able to afford it because it was expensive, and that was one of the reason I left therapy. Not only money, but the second thing was it was just not working for me. I felt that I'm just talking to another person. The person is do not have a lot of inputs, not even acknowledging what I said, and 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 then there was nothing like from their side. So I was like, it is not working for me, so I just stopped. But what I had very recently was more of yogas, more of breath works, more of meditations, focusing on your body, on your mind, on your breath and everything. And when you sit like that, and it was more guided, so that because I am not able to meditate when I sit, my mind is everywhere. So when it is guided, there is a person who's telling you to where to focus, and then your focus is somehow coming there, and then you have a lot of openness in your mind, where you have a lot of realization of your traumas, lot of realization of what you're doing is wrong to your body. And then when you also do this yoga and everything, feels very painful initially because I never did yoga, but it was really relaxing to the body. And and plus the food you eat is also affecting your body mentally, spiritually, in every way. So where I was exactly, they were also providing food from the farm was front of, so it was like whole village with like mountains, all green farms and everything. It was like a house made of like all the organic thing, and we are inside that, and outside everything is only birds you can listen to, and then all greens. And then you just sit there, and when you close your eyes and listen to those birds, you just go to a different dimension. And that's where I felt my healing, and that's how I understood that these are things that I need to do to make sure that my traumas are not affecting my body. uh, I mean, I don't know everyone can afford it or do it, because for me it was part of a fellowship that I was there. But I feel like people should be going offline to places rather than doing it online, because personally I believe in online setting you're not able to connect. That human touch is not there in the online. No matter how good therapist you are, I feel like there should always be a human touch, and that can only come when you're offline. And yeah, and then I did, and it was, I feel very you can see the glow on my face since last time we met. It just feels so different, and it just feels so uh, good. And I really meditate at home now. I do it for at least, she taught us to do it. Realistically, we are very busy, to at least for 15 minutes. It really helps you ground yourself. She also help us anchor our traumas, anchor our anxieties and those kind of things. And she also taught us how to do not if you can't do yoga at home, at least walk. It always, it is good for your body. That's what I don't know, I never used to walk, I never joined gym, I never did all of those things. But when the first time I did, it hurts, like my body hurts, but it really feels good. You can see that happiness on my face. It is just different from how we met last time. So I don't know how it works. I don't know what is the science or energy behind it, but it does
Mm.
work, and it worked for me.
No, what I'm hearing is, as opposed to traditional, formal psychotherapy, other healing modalities based in tradition and body wisdom, and which is guided and perhaps by the sacred even, is more supportive than therapy in your personal experience, what I'm hearing.
So it works for me. A
Mm,
therapy is not working for me. I tried and it didn't
mm,
work for me because my mind is very chaotic. There are multiple thousand of things happening at the same time. And for me, it is very, very difficult to just do a therapy and be okay with that. It just didn't work. So for me, it worked. I don't know if it will work for everyone, but it really did wonders for me. So I am suggesting everyone at least try once and unless how will you know?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We can, yeah, maybe we could. I have a question, one extension question from this. We see very often the decision to take support um, becomes about like formal degrees for a lot of people who come from a scientific background, um, or like who come from education, right? So, but that is my experience too. Like other alternate modalities, that's more rooted, and it's rooted in embodiment, and there is tools that all of you practice here and offer, which which is much more effective, for the lack of a better word. Um, I want your comments on this. Maybe we can start with Amana. Like, do you have any, what is your thoughts on like traditional psychotherapy versus the kind of healing work that you offer? What sort of sets it apart?
Um, I think the inclusion of the other realm and also the ancestral work that we do, including the body work and the spirit world. Sometimes I have Kalima coming in between the session and guiding me. So, how would you define these things? How would you talk about these things? This is beyond mind. I am sometimes like in awe, and my mind takes over saying that this is not real. This is all made up stuff, and the astral travel that happens. So, of course, quantum science now is bringing with proofs that all of these things exist, but um, traditionally it's not there, and also there is a possibility of this going out of control, where you are calling everything as a spirit attack, like, and or some buri nazar. So where will you draw the line? So I also understand why these things are not included, but I also include. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
one. Yeah, these things are, you understand why it's not included, and
And also why it can't be included sometimes, why the
mm,
traditional psychotherapy doesn't include it, because it can it can actually fuck up with your mind, and you can call everything esoteric.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anyone else want to? I didn't. I know it's nice to have you here. Yeah. Does anyone have anything to add to that, or otherwise I can?
I can
Yeah.
share a bit,
Mm,
and thank you, Mana, for bringing this point of esoteric and finding a balance with it. I'll just build up on it. So, Lakshmi, for me, I'm not a psychotherapist. I don't do talk therapy. In fact, I've hardly experienced talk therapy myself. The modalities I use are called alternate therapy. And with them, for me, also bringing in the spiritual, the sacred, the esoteric is important. Like for me also, I work a lot with the goddess, womb energy, womb work. So for me, it becomes a combination of that, the sacred, the spiritual, and then connecting with the body, and then going deeper into the subconscious for that reprogramming. And I'll tell you actually from the experience of clients and people who come and work with me, many of them, have come from talk therapy, and some say talk therapy worked for us, but now after a point it's not working. I need something more. And some come and say that talk therapy hasn't worked for me. Like actually, Sonali, what you shared, same things some of them have said. And then, these modalities work for them. So this is what I have, seen and experienced.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying, uh, like adding to that comment about how somehow possibly alternative healing modalities helps us go a little further. Yeah, it's not a this versus that, but in a certain aspects, it helps us go a little further
I
for
think
sure.
talk therapy has its own advantages, and many people from talk therapy become a bit more prepared for alternate therapy.
Yeah,
So I think it has its advantages.
yeah, for sure. So I want to welcome Navinta. Thank you for being here with us. Navinta is a practicing artist and facilitator drawn to paradoxes and the poetry of heartfelt existence. Her work evokes wonder through the subtle and sublime, exploring skies, shame, and silences. Very, very poetic. Um, she holds spaces for honest conversations, inviting curiosity, emotion and presence into realms often left unspoken but deeply felt. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you
Um,
so much, Lakshmi. I want to apologize because I showed up a bit late. But nevertheless, I'm very delighted to be here, meeting all of you, listening, and wanting to speak. But I think I sit with most things and feel them deeply. So I will speak. Just wanted to add to what Amana and Sakshi shared about talk therapy working in specific contexts and not working in specific contexts. Um, I was discussing with a friend and understanding how narratives shape us and how identity gets formed. Um, and within that identity, whether you identify as a spirit, as a soul, as a person, as a trans person, as a whether it is based on your sexuality, your geographical placement, or your gender, or um, the profession that you're in, and how those narratives sort of evoke a sense of trauma or evoke a sense of uh, incomplete, like lack of fulfillment. I'm not able to find that word. And so, how this need for attending the unspoken, attending what gets left behind when we are so busy trying to form meaning and words out of what the experience is like. Like, I feel words are very limited, so I choose art now, and not just making, scribbling, drawing, but arts in terms of theater, arts in terms of writing when it doesn't have to make sense, but pouring from a place that is not identifiable, if I could speak like that. Um, so yeah, just wanted to share what I felt when I heard you, Sakshi and Aman. Thank you.
yeah, I actually had a very similar question along the same lines for you specifically. Um, so we live in a world that demands like clarity, performance, resolution. Your work in this space honors the murky in between and the deeply felt. So when women are given the space to feel without needing to explain or resolve, from like you were talking about how you do that, I'm wondering what becomes possible when you do that. um How do you see softness, paradox, or even discomfort becoming a part of liberating our emotional landscapes?
Um, Thank you for that question, Lakshmi. Um, I think in a culture where performance or action or doing is rewarded, um, then resting, playfulness, authentic expression is not necessarily rewarded the way other things are. Um, what comes to me when you ask this question is often when I'm doing sessions, when these are group sessions or even one on one. I think inviting softness sometimes looks like women just entering the space, closing their eyes, and off they are into a dream world. And they wake up asking me, I'm sorry, I didn't do anything. I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention. I'm sorry, I didn't contribute. And I said, no, you did what your body wanted. You did exactly what you felt safe for. Like, I did not have any expectations. You came in and you slept off. Or you entered a world where only you have that communication with yourself. I do not enter from a space where, oh, I know better than you. Your body has the intelligence, you have the intelligence, and you are going to do this. Sometimes in a dysregulated nervous system, you don't know what to do, and maybe you just need one presence. And sometimes, like for example, when we are hurting on a shoulder or on an arm, you want, oh, please, somebody just press it and, massage it. Sometimes you need that deep tissue massage, but sometimes all you need is just a gaze, it's just attention, one breath, and there it goes, it just moves. So, how do you recognize these very, very subtle rhythms of your own body, very, very subtle rhythms, the way your eyelids move, the way your eyes are trying to focus, the way your breath is, the way your heart is palpitating. All of those rhythms that we can recognize and the rhythms that do not happen in that time frame are there. And your body knows. Who am I to tell you what to do? Who am I to tell you, no, this is the right moment to do this? So, when that space where there's no explanation, I think you I don't know how to explain this, but this happens. In one-on-one sessions, I invite people to just sit with themselves, close your eyes, and let's see and feel. And I'm also attuned and I'm feeling myself because I can't be just this one torchlight putting on there. But in that moment, a tear drops. In that moment, the breath drops. In that moment, you just go to this zoop other world and you come back and you're like, I don't know what I saw, but there was something. But we don't have to explain it. We don't have to make meaning of everything. You can just sit with it.
Yeah, I
And
recognize the question that I asked is definitely like I'm asking you to explain what is not possible to explain. Yeah.
say that again. Sorry.
I recognize the question I asked is sort of like I'm asking you to give words for something that's not so explainable, really. Yeah.
Um, I mean, how do I talk about bending time? How do I talk about entering future, past, present in the now? How do I talk about like which language? Um, how do I tell you what it means when you connect with your 2-year-old self? How do I tell you that what does it look like? What does it feel like when you connect to a point in time when you were just an embryo, maybe just curling and slowly following the rhythm of this life? And it's just like coming and becoming. And what does that mean? I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm out of words. So I paint and I invite everyone else to paint and I invite everyone else to move. Um, I think that's how paradoxes sometimes show up because your brain is constantly trying to make meaning of, okay, what did I see? What does that mean? I have often had people, oh, I saw blue color, red color, sparking, this, that. I said, up to you. Whatever it had to give you, it gave you. How am I supposed to decode it for you and tell you, oh, now the future will have this, and your past is, sitting with that? Maybe the idea of lightheartedness, the idea of playfulness in all of this living business gets thrown out of um, um, the window when you're talking about therapy. Let's heal. It's like, okay, we will heal, but can we just allow ourselves to witness and be there? Just allowing without with this pressing need to perform or without this pressing need to know I have to look a certain way, I have to do a certain way. Yeah, I think that's all. I could go on, but I'll just pause. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for bringing that, yeah, bringing that slowness and that sort of playfulness, and inviting all of us to also say there is like, what is this gonna result in? How fast will they heal, and not think about that, and think about like how their things happen, that are meant to happen, are happening. Yeah, that's what I'm taking away from what you said, definitely. So I want to come back to some of the questions that I had thought of. So when it comes to women, things like guilt, shame, anger, um, like it's something that's very present in women's bodies, shame specifically, right? Um, so can you can I want to start with Amana for this question. Can you tell us how do you work with uh, these particular emotions? And yeah, how do you meet them, and what begins to shift when they are fully met?
Mm, okay, let's start with shame. The first thing is that shame is such a dense emotion. Like even in when you calculate, they say you can calculate the density of the emotions. The shame sits in the bottom, and it's the most dense emotion. So first thing is like if you can even acknowledge that you're ashamed, half of the work is done because we can't even go there. We keep putting up the layer of blame and anger onto that. So first thing is acknowledgement. And I often say this that the antidote to shame is your personal truth. Like I had so much sex and I have a shame about it. But the antidote to that is your personal truth. I enjoy pleasure. I enjoy connection. I enjoy physical connection. So what is your personal truth there? And then expression, because all emotions are like stuck feelings which did not get an outlet to express itself. So what is the shape that your body can take when it is ashamed? Can you express that? And I often give this prompt where I say, if you're on a stage and you have to show to the audience that you are ashamed, what shape would your body take? What will you do? So it could be like this. So when you do that, the entire body is expressing that and it's getting an outlet of releasing it. So this is what I use with shame particularly. When it transforms and alchemizes, it becomes into this feeling of um, yeah, your truth, standing up in your truth and owning your truth, sovereignty, I would say. That's what it alchemizes into. When it comes to anger, anger, there are different reasons, but I see anger as the violation of your boundary when you wanted to say no, but you said yes. Anger is also a cover emotion. So understanding what is it? Is it covering something even deeper, grief, or is it just a cover emotion? Sorry, is it a cover emotion or it is actually a violation of your boundary? It is your inability to express when you wanted to express something. So again, anger also need a lot of release, a lot of somatic practices, or sometimes just acknowledgement and sitting with that and letting that come and move with breath and letting it just feel in your body. That's what I do use with anger. When anger alchemize, it comes into boundary, strong boundaries. That's what it'll alchemize into. Understanding your sacred yes and your fuck no. That's what
Mm.
it changes into. Yeah.
Guilt also, you have something to say about that?
Guilt is I did wrong. Shame is I am wrong. So when mother and brother, no, guilt and shame. When guilt changes, it changes again into sovereignty, it changes into worthiness, it changes into
Mm.
I am worthy of dash. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very insightful. Thank you. What about you, Sakshi? Do you specifically like notice these specific emotions coming up? How do you meet them, and what happens when you help them meet that emotion in that moment fully?
First of all, Lakshmi, I just love this question because it, made me think and reflect. And even with that thinking and reflection, such, I think, very beautiful things came up. Some of them Amana has already shared. So I'll add on to it. So, first, like you've asked how I work with these and then what happens to them.
Mm.
These three, of course, very, very common. And women without guilt are a rare sight to see and behold. So, guilt is very common, and of course, shame and anger. I think how I work with all three of them is one layer is going to the childhood. Where did it begin? Be it childhood, teenage, early adulthood. But if there's a really a core filled with guilt, shame, or anger, or all three, where did it begin? Can we work at the root causes? There could be an ancestral layer. We end up carrying the anger of our parents or ancestors. Our mother didn't get to express, our grandmother didn't get to express her anger. I will now carry it and, give it out to the world. Same with shame and guilt, we can carry it from the ancestors. So systemic layer could be coming from past life. So with the therapy work, all three layers I can sometimes we go at. And then also how to work with them in the body. So like Amana shared, almost all those things. What Navedita shared, coming into the body. How can we give expression to these emotions? In what way? Be it through art, as in paints and colors, through movement, through any other, like psychodramatic work. So all of this combined, and sometimes esoteric work in it. And when, and I've seen so many women doing this work, and when it changes, so guilt, I think the guilt transforms into compassion, self-compassion, first for the self and then for others. It turns into self-forgiveness for, not saying no, not holding the boundaries, not blaming ourselves for it anymore, and removing the guilt. So there comes in a lot of this beautiful compassion. With shame, well, of course, that kind of, changes into confidence and courage with the appropriate vulnerability. And like Amana said, our hell yes and fuck no, that definitely comes in. And anger. So I love working with anger. I'm very comfortable with the energy of anger. It's been my story as well. And anger, again, Amana has already said that it's like an outer layer. Anger is usually a facade. It's a protective mechanism in many, many cases where it's hiding, all the hurt, the pain, the sadness, the need for love, the need for touch and intimacy. So it's hiding all of it because of whatever experiences we've had. And when, we start working with that anger and unlayering and unmasking, and then we go into the grief, the sadness, the longings, working through all those layers, the same anger starts transforming into our creative energy, the life force energy, the sexual which rises to become the spiritual, because anger is one of the most powerful energies. We keep saying, people suppress anger. There's no suppression of anger. It's so powerful, it cannot be suppressed. It will either, if not external outburst, it will show up as physical illnesses, diseases. It will show up in mental behavior, in emotional behavior. Anger cannot be hidden. But when it's transformed, it's just this beautiful life force energy flowing through us, and that's passion. And then that can also transform into sacred anger and rage, the passion which we can use to do some good in the world. So for me, yeah, this happens with these three emotions.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you for walking us through what happens with it. I wanted to ask if Navinta or Sonali had like anything to add, comment, or even question in terms of shame, guilt, and anger. Go ahead, Sonali.
Uh, yes, for me, I might not have the this perspective, but I have this a different perspective. How shame is, as I said before, also not internal but very external. Shame is not how we are feeling, shame is how people are looking at us. People are talking about me, people are questioning me, people are judging me, and that's how shame comes to our own self. So I always felt shame is not something that comes from within, it comes from outside, and it is also way of controlling people. For example, बेटा ऐसा मत करो otherwise शर्मा जी की बेटा ऐसे करेंगे वैसे करेंगे, things like that. So it is also a way to control you. And if you are from a marginalized community, then of course society always shames you for your gender, for your caste, for your religion, for everything to control you. So I feel like that is how I see and perceive shame, where we can be quiet, where we can be dismissed, where we are, you know, I mean, I don't know how do I put it, but this is how I perceive it. And when it's come to guilt, guilt is not about being grateful enough. It is more like guilt for needing help for us as the
Mm,
trans people, right? So guilt for surviving when others did not, and because a lot of trans women who are not able to survive well after getting out of their house, so guilt of being that privileged to have survived, and then that it is also not my own guilt, it is also from externally given by people. I never had that kind of guilt within me that, oh, I have survived. I never even thought about that. It is other people who have given me that guilt. So how these things are also very external and not our own, and how people have given this to us to make us more conscious, anxious, and feel bad about our own self, which I personally understand very well. Uh, I don't know, but I am very self-aware person. I know what is wrong within me. I know what I'm doing. I have a very good awareness about me and what is happening around me. So this is one of the good thing as I you see the perspective of mine, how it is not mine and it is given to me, and then I don't even know those people who are giving me shame, but it is still coming to me and it is still affecting me. So that is the way I perceive both guilt and shame.
yeah, thank you for bringing in that perspective. Did you want to say something, Navinta, about this?
Um, yes, I'm hearing Sonali talk about how it is an external thing, and how over time it becomes internalized. And when I work with young people, when I say young people, I'm talking age 3 and above. And when I work with the inner child, when I work on myself, I know that before this persona came out of who I am right now, there was already a lot that happened. Things that I don't remember, things that my body went through, things that come up in moments when I don't know where it's coming from. So, anger, shame, guilt, and also a sense of blame. I think when I become this person who blames everybody for everything that is coming up for me, how do I see that? So I feel it's a point of wonder for me. Like, when did this happen? Like, how is it coming up right now? Where is it coming from? So even for young people, them becoming very conscious of what the other person is going to say, how is their action or reaction making anyone around them feel, what is being validated, what is not being validated, appreciated, how does that lead to our behaviors, and how those behaviors become patterns and habits and create a persona in an adult expression. Like, how does that happen? uh, is still a mystery for me. Like, of course, all of this is used to control, to condition us a certain way, um, to make us fit into an ever existing system of, okay, this is how it is going to be. But I wonder a lot about these feelings when they come up. And it's not like, oh, once this is transformed into compassion, it's done. It comes again. And then it's like, oh, why are you still here? What happened? And sometimes uh, I experience anger and guilt with a lot of sadness. I think it brings a lot of sadness. And it was a shock when I first realized that it's very difficult for me to express anger. When I want to be angry, I turn towards sadness. Like, I can't get angry. I just become deeply, deeply sad. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific thing about, okay, this is how it works, but I wonder a lot about it. Like, oh, why is it happening? Where is this going? Where is it coming from? Is it really mine? Is it really from this lifetime? Is it other people? Is it me? What's happening? It just leaves me there. Just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for adding these layers about, oh, is this, yes, processing it, but also, is this really mine? I'm audible, no? Yeah. Okay. So I just, we are close to time. It's about 20 minutes. I want to ask three important questions that I want to address here. I will start with this one. Um, so there are a lot of modalities of therapeutic spaces which talks about letting things be, and I think Navedita was also touching upon that a little bit, letting things be. There's often a tension between letting something be and wanting to shift it, change it, perhaps heal it. Um, how do you, each of you in your work, discern which path to take? Uh, yeah. Uh, yeah, Amana, you want to say?
Yeah, when I read that question, I was like, "Oh, Lakshmi, ye kya pooch liya?" This is the question. This is the question we all are struggling with. Whether to sit with it, heal it, let it go, surrender to it, fuck it, forget it. What to do with this? That is the eternal question. And I also saw that how sometimes coming from a hustling culture, we make healing as a hustle. We want to get onto that hamster wheel where we are healing, 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 fixing ourselves all the time. So that is something we need to first see. Are we doing the same kind of pattern? We sometimes choose our pain to control it. Wow. Yeah, I'll say that again slowly. We sometimes choose our pain to control it because when we are healing something, we think that we are in control and this pain will not go out of control. So healing can also be like a disguise where we're just playing with the upper layer of it. uh, I can talk about a personal example. I don't have an answer to this question, but I will tell you what I have done recently. I have this deep urge, desire to be a mother, and at the same time, there is a part in me which does not want to have a child. I keep struggling with this question: whether I want, whether I don't want, and sometimes I say, okay, I want it, and let's see what can be done. And sometimes I say, no, I don't want it. So now, yesterday only, I felt like I am just surrendering into whether I want it or not want it, and I don't want an answer. And I'll be in the gray. And if it has to happen, it will. If it doesn't want to, not. So just, I think when I surrendered into this, there was an ease that came. And I also realized sometimes we have to bear like the karmic consequences. Maybe my soul decided that after some time of struggle, I might become a mother. Maybe my soul decided that in this lifetime, I will only crave a child, whatever. So sometimes I also feel that I have to like endure this suffering. And I don't mean it from the place of being a victim, but like surrendering to this inner conflict of whether I want or don't. So this is a very, very personal thing to everyone, whether you should heal it, work on it, or just surrender to it. So no answer to that.
Okay. Is something specifically coming up for someone that they want to address for this question or say about this question?
Hmm.
Okay.
I wanted to say when you use the word surrender, Amana, a part of me also said yes, allowing. Like when you allow something, the discernment is very much a faculty of brain, like as if you're taking like, okay, this is the trauma. Tomorrow I'm going to fix an appointment with my therapist. And tomorrow by 6 p.m., I'll have the root of it and let's just like slay it, you know? And that's one. Like discerning as a word itself is a very brain operation, I feel. So allowing and surrendering are the words that I feel are more wholesome, are more embodied, um, and not just a brain faculty. Um, so whether to sit with it or whether to act on it is something that comes to you and not something that you choose. I have a feeling that this is how my journey has been. I know I wanted to heal badly certain parts of me, but no, there's no ticking watch. Like it's not a pill. It's not something, oh, whether I should take one combi phlegm and my fever will go, or whether I just like sit with it and watch it go. Like, do I trust the intelligence that's running the show, or do I trust my brain to just like, no, I have the autonomy and sovereignty to act on it, so I must. um, I feel there's beauty in that surrendering and there's beauty in that allowing, um, when you just let it rest and watch how it makes you do things. um, yeah, that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually asking from the perspective of when you watch your clients go through this, um, like, oh, what should I be doing something about, or something emerging that you can nudge, but allowing can take your client in a different direction. Like, how do you make that discernment? Sakshi, do you have something to say about that?
I can add to it, although I like agree with what Amana and Nivedita have said, and like that's why I didn't want to add anything more because they've like summarized it very well. But to answer your question, Lakshmi, for me, when clients come in and they are at that point, what to do or not to do, for me, all my work is client centered. So I think the first question is where are you at? What do you feel about this and what do you feel about this, A and B? And it's just helping them probably navigate or feel into both and see. Sometimes I have to tell clients that it's okay to not do anything, kind of insert that idea it's okay not to do something about it right now, and you can just wait, rest, allow, surrender. And other times they themselves, after reflection, after whatever work we are doing, they just come to their own discernment and decision. So largely it's just supporting them to move through everything they are feeling or thinking and filtering from it. Does that make sense? Does that
Yeah,
answer your question?
yeah, it does. You basically it's clients led, and um, do you ever feel like I want to add on to that question. Do you ever feel like you have to um, shake your client up and like have them, uh,
The tough
it's
part.
time that you made a change? Do you feel like have you had those moments with your clients, and also how do you do it?
This is the tough, tough spot to be in. First thing is, if I already have a rapport with the client, if there is, we've built enough trust and safety, uh, this is something I do only then, in whatever way I do it. Also, family constellations really give a very nice platform to bring the clear picture in front of them. There are representatives who don't know anything about them, but they bring up stuff. I am only, facilitating, not telling anybody to do anything specific. And that gives that jolt many times, that, shocking them out of their delusion or illusions, that this is the reality you need to see. So that work helps. And otherwise, if I have to do it, I might do it with words, I might do it in a process, as they are regressed. There are sometimes, things we can say or help them see in a different way, just a change of, angle, a change of perspective. And then that can kind of change some things for them. Very rarely I say it directly, and only with clients where there's a good rapport which is formed.
Okay. Anyone else, do you call out your clients and yeah, or your peers that you're supporting? Does anyone else have to say something?
When I see that there is an opening, I use tough love. I don't use force to bring them or to rupture something, but I use tough love only when I feel that this person is ready and needs it. Otherwise, I just offer my presence, and in that presence, everything moves. That's what I do.
Thank you. Anything to add? Anyone else? If not, I'll move to the next question. Thank you. It was very interesting. Uh, yeah, take on, or when do we come in? Um, so I want to ask specifically those to those who have. I think the three other speakers other than Sonali hold women's circle. I wanted to ask, how do you welcome, or if you do, queer, trans, non-binary folks into your circle? Um, is there like intentional intention to invite them into your circles? And what have you learned from holding space for queer people? Navedita, if we can start with you.
Um, I think I meet personally at a very human level beyond um, the already understood idea of identity, respecting wherever the person is. In women's circle, often when they are called women's circle, it's not very inviting. Um, and I think I have made it a point in all my past experiences when I'm collaborating with somebody, or usually it's a space where I like to specify, I like to um, encourage participation for humans who identify as women to enter the space, not necessarily gender assigned at birth or in that manner. Um, and I feel when I connect from that space, creating safety becomes very essential. Um, because for some people, this part of our human reality is not even present. Like they do not acknowledge the presence of something beyond what they seem to understand in its limitations. Like, okay, there are other humans who identify as women. Um, so it has been challenging, I would say, in a way where you have to make it an inclusive space. You have to bring it to a point where everyone else can understand, if not understand, at least acknowledge the presence, that there is a possibility that sits beyond their perception of how it is. Um, and honoring just that. I think that's where I have been in these spaces. Yeah.
Yeah. Sakshi, what about you? Have you worked with queer people?
So, for me, I think women circles, yeah, I keep them focused to those who identify as women. For me, honestly, because I think I'm not fully prepared to hold circles for queer people. I'm still learning how to hold space. So it's my circles are directed or, offered to women only. However, if somebody reaches out, then I'm very open. Like I know I
Yeah, sorry.
language
Hmm.
or
Sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
okay, just that I am very open with that, but then I know that I have to make sure, like Navedita said, that the inclusion and the safety for everybody involved is important. One on one, yes, I've been working with queer people. I've not worked with non-binary folks yet, but yeah, one on one I have a bit of an experience.
Okay. Thank you. Amana, what about you?
Yeah, my space for now specifically only for women, biological women, womb holders, and I am not equipped right now to work with anyone else for now. But I'm very open. I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm educating myself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Sonali, any thoughts, comments? Do you feel, maybe I also want to add a question. Like there is a lot of popular women-only spaces. Sorry, go on. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
I just want to add few things here. Most of the spaces that are built are not centered around trans women. It is more like a generic woman space, uh, and I feel like where if it is not part of the design of the space, where trans people are there from the beginning, I feel like that space will ask us to adjust or maybe explain or shrink or so I personally feel like it is not like an inclusive space where the space still want me to justify myself and educate every other person who's there in the space every time I speak. I feel like it is not space, it is very extractive. And that is why when people try to create an inclusive space, it is always not really inclusive. Because if you're doing a trans, I feel like you definitely do a women circle and you can include trans women in that. But then you will also need to understand that me as a trans woman should not have to, because other women are not explaining themselves. Why do I have to explain again and again myself? Oh, please use this pronoun. Oh, my name is this. Oh, please don't ask me my past year. People are very curious and they'll jump on you and ask you so many questions that sometimes the space is not safe enough for us to, you know, just be ourselves. And yeah, I mean there is a lot of things to it. I feel like, but I can go on and on about it. But yeah, this is what I wanted to
That's
say.
your experience. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for voicing that. And yeah, I would also definitely want to think more on how to create that space because often people who are coming, I don't have a lot of control on whether they have an understanding about this, whether they're educated about these things. So how do I like prepare my audience to educate themselves? I encourage them to do that in general. Is something that I'm taking away.
yeah, it will just take 5 minutes for you to let everyone know
Look it up.
there
Yeah.
is a trans woman, and it is good not to ask them questions. Let
Yes.
include them in the circle, and if you have anything, we can definitely discuss after the circle is ended. But in between, appreciate if you don't do that, and that is it. And let us have that space. Let us be ourselves. Let us heal. Let us enjoy. Let us be ourselves, and that is all we need. That is what I believe. But if it takes more than that, then I don't know because I'm not a practitioner.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing that. Um, okay. We're very close to time. I feel like we have covered different things I wanted to ask. Mm, would any of you like
Sakshi has
to?
raised hand.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your
I
raised
just
hand.
have a quick question, Sonali, I really want to know, like you said, it's okay to introduce to the group that we have a trans woman with us and, not ask questions. Is it okay for the trans person in the group to be like introduced like this? I feel a bit hesitant to even say, it's like putting them on this, spot. So is that okay?
Yeah, I understand. I feel like not everyone will be okay with that, but most of us are okay. But it is always good to just confirm with them, just
Yeah.
so you can just let them know why we are doing it, so that even though if it is putting a spotlight, they are mentally prepared that it is not to put you in the spotlight, but to make sure your overall experience with the circle is good. So making sure that other people are not interrupting you in between or maybe later. So for your better experience or
Exactly.
blah blah blah, you can just
Makes absolute sense. I think that
yeah.
it's best to discuss and
Yes,
let them
just take
be
one
aware
minute
of.
and let them know it is important for your experience, and I want to make sure that your experience is good with the circle, and this is why it is. It will be grateful if I can just introduce you to the circle, so that everyone can be mindful of not to.
So Nali, I would love to have you in one of my circles. Okay, I think even just hearing from you, others can learn so much.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Lakshmi have done a lot of things together in past so many days. We were like in a some camp, and it was amazing. I guess we both learned a lot from each other.
Where do you live, Sonali?
I born and brought up in Mumbai, but right now I live in Delhi. But I travel a lot,
Okay.
so I
I'm
come to
in Delhi
Mumbai
too. I
also.
think Amana is also in Delhi.
For now, yes, but I live in Bangalore.
Ah,
I lived in Bangalore also. I lived in Mumbai also. I don't know where else, but
same.
yeah, I travel a lot, so you never know where I am.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Lakshmi, for like allowing us this 2-3 minute connection.
No, of course, that's what I was gonna say. Actually, yeah, whatever needed to be said has been said. I have learned a lot for sure. Hope this was also fruitful for you in terms of deepening your understanding of your work and others' work. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I think I would like to bring this to a close with that. So lovely talking to you all. Um, can we have the recording stopped?